So, just to unpack my definitions a bit more. So the people that see the world from anywhere, 20-25% of the population, as you say, tend to be, or possibly even a bit more than that now, possibly a third, up to a third in some of the most developed countries of the world. They tend to be highly educated, at least a degree level. They tend to be quite mobile. That's particularly true in this country. But anyway, so the anywheres tend to be educated, mobile, and they value the things that you expect educated, mobile people to value: openness, autonomy. They kind of have an interest in some ways, particularly at the sort of higher creative intellectual end. They have a kind of interest in the free flow of ideas and see borders as somehow inherently disagreeable things. But I think one of the key things to understand the anywhere worldview, apart from those things I've mentioned, is the way in which people develop their identities, their notions of who they are. And I think if you are, there's the American sociologist Talcott Parsons famously talked about a spectrum, an identity spectrum, from an achieved identity to an ascribed identity. Now, we all have a mixture of both, but anywheres tend to have overwhelmingly achieved identities, meaning that their sense of themselves comes from their own achievements, their own actions. They passed exams when they were young, they went to a more or less good university, they've had a more or less successful professional career, so their sense of themselves, as I say, derives from their own actions, their own abilities, or so it seems to them. And that means that their identities are kind of quite portable. They're kind of porous, but they're portable, and it means you can sort of fit in anywhere. They're sort of individually sealed, and anywheres, even if they're quite left-wing in their beliefs, as many of them are, tend to be highly individualistic, partly as a result of their own life history. Often being mobile, that sense of an achieved identity. It's a very individualistic thing, and as a result of that, they tend to be comfortable with social change. They can surf social fluidity comfortably. If you look at the other big fuzzy worldview group, the people who see the world from somewhere, they are the kind of other side of the coin. They tend to be much less well educated. They tend to be much more rooted. Still about 60-65% of the British population live within 14 miles of where they lived. Sorry, within 20 miles of where they lived when they were 14 years old. So somewheres are not that unusual in being pretty rooted, and they value the things that you would expect more rooted people to value: familiarity, security, and so on. They also tend to have, again, the other side of the coin to the anywheres, they also tend to have, their identities tend to be at the more ascribed end of the spectrum, which means that their sense of themselves comes much more from place and group, the place they come from. They're a working class Geordie, or they're a Scottish farmer, or they belong to a certain group, either occupational group or just place, and that means that their ascribed identities, their sense of themselves, is more open to being discomforted by rapid social change. If the place they live in changes because of gentrification or immigration or whatever, that can discomfort them, because it's impacting on a part of themselves.